Hi, thanks again for checking out another one of our videos. If this is the first time I've ever seen one of our videos, appreciate you finding us. This is a little bit about us. Fencer Fixer is our website. We also work on cattle scales and low bars, so cattlescalerepair.com is our other website. We work on those Gallagher scales more than in other brands, because other brands they've got a stranglehold on their stuff where only they can work on it, nobody else, type of thing. So we do work on all brands of them, but certain brands they won't let us work on because only they can touch them, so sort of thing. But we do work on a lot of electric fence boxes, different brands, ages of these things. So appreciate you finding us, and we're going to jump into this unit. This is a Gallagher B160. Same thing as a B150 back in the day. It's old school unit. So we're going to tear in this 12 volt. We're going to tear in this thing, and we're going to see what we can figure out with it. So we're going to pull it apart first. I don't know what's wrong with it. Find some screwdrivers here to pop it apart. Oh, hold on. I forgot somebody stuck a screw on the front there. I think these originally didn't have... I think most of the Gallagher battery-powered units of this generation didn't have screws holding them in there. The plug-in ones did, but the battery ones didn't. So there's the unit. Serial number's all wore off in the front there. Usually it's down right there and it's all wore off, but it's got the original transformer in it. There's the serial number that would have been on there. See, 00. This is a 2000 model, so this thing's 21 years old. And the board doesn't have serial number on it. Pop the board out of there first. Maybe the serial number's on the back. No serial. This could be the original board to it, possibly. Well, we'll plug it in here, or we'll hook a battery up to it here in a second. I want to test this capacitor first. Test your capacitor. Gotta get a good multimeter, or a multimeter that can actually test capacitance. Look at your meter and look for this yellow symbol. It may not be yellow, whatever color it is, but look for that symbol. It's right above my finger, the yellow one, not the white one. The yellow one. That's the symbol for a capacitor. It's not ohms, not a diode, not continuity. It's a capacitance, so it's a whole different deal. Not all meters can test capacitors, but that's what you're going to need to use. It's a 20 microfarad capacitor inside here. There's no polarity to it. You can test up here. It's two little tabs. Okay, read that time. Typically, sometimes I won't read right here for some dumb reason. And you got to go down at the base of the thing. But anyways, it's 13.2. It's a little low. So it's lost almost 40% of its joule or capacitance power on it. But let's before we go and replace the capacitor, because that's, I mean, it's not good, but it's not bad enough to keep it from running. So let's hook this up to a 12 volt supply. Strip off the end here. That's pretty janky looking, so maybe you got a connection issue, but let's cut it back a little bit and see if we get a better. Yeah, there's some clean copper wire right there. So I don't know. That was pretty rusted up and corroded, probably from hooked up to being hooked up to the battery. But let's set the power supply to about 12.5 volts. Hook it across here. Now these things make like a clicking, winding up, or like a squealing, winding up sound when you turn them on. So let's see what happens. There it goes. I did slow down when I turned the light off, because there is some switches on here that tie to the night save, day save feature. So when you turn it on, the light on, it goes flashing a little faster. Well, that's half the battle right there. Maybe there's a connection problem. So let's test this output and see what we get out of it. Looks like we're getting about 7,500 volts. Let's see what's on half power. It has a half power setting on the switch, so go back to the center. Getting about a little over 5,000, so it's doing its job. Well, let's just put a new capacitor in this thing, and we're going to call it done, because the capacitor is a bit weak. Not terrible, it's not good, but see, it's enough to make it run. So we're going to pop this capacitor. Now the capacitor's probably got a big charge built up in it, so be careful going there and dicking around with it. So if you touch across those two terminals right there with a piece of with your finger, it's going to light you up. So you pop this little clip out of there to hold the capacitor in place. And there's that one. That's probably the original. You can't even read the writing on it anymore. We're going to pull off these tabs one at a time. Grab a new one. There's a new capacitor. Same thing, just different color. Now these do go on a certain way, not a certain, doesn't matter this side or this side, but they got to go on where the this opening is. You look at the capacitors to the right, so, or up, depending on how you got the capacitor sitting in front of you. So the second one goes on the same way. So you turn it to where the opening where it plugs on to goes right there. Then I just go over to the table and just smack it like this to get the capacitor little tab things go on there all the way. And then you gotta get inside here. Look at these two little things right here. This little black plastic thing. If you put it in there, the capacitor needs to be resting behind it, so it needs to be on this side of that little black tab peg thing there. So I'm gonna set it in there and see if right now it's resting on top of it right now. And we put the board on there. See that it's kind of tilted. It's hard to see, but it's tilted like this. Not quite level, it's kind of up like this, so these tabs are more down and it won't make contact to the board enough to make it run right or run at all. So get it started in there. Take a flat screwdriver, go at the back edge here and just kind of put some pressure and just kind of smack it into place. Now it's sitting behind it, right there. It's behind the tab, not on top of it. And if you put the capacitor tabs, the sleeves put on the other way, they won't be lined up in that little groove right there for when the board sits down on top. Now these things sometimes break. They'll get old, brittle plastic. You can buy new ones, but if it breaks, just get rid of it. Once you put the board in there and set it on there, it ain't going anywhere. But to get it back in there, this is what it looks like. Put this side in first. It goes in this little sleeve right there. And then just push down on it. It kind of snaps up underneath this little tab on the transformer. Like that. Make sure it doesn't break. Sometimes it'll break when you push it down like that. It didn't break that time. Alright. You can put this board back in here. Now we're going to just kind of look at it, just bend it side to side, whatever, just to push the tabs on transfer just a little bit to get the on just right, like that. And I take the butt end of my screwdriver or the metal side, whatever you want to do, just press in the corners where all these tabs are, make sure it's seated down all the way. Now we'll hook it back up to the power supply again. It didn't really change anything on the performance of it, voltage wise probably still the same, but when they get a load on it, instead of having 7 microfarads less than what it did before, it will be up to that 20, and it'll be nice. It'll be able to handle the load better for the size unit. But you can see it's working just fine. It's got a nice snap to it now. Oh, you gotta love these old school Gallagher units, man. These things are really well made. So this one's basically done. I mean, cheap fix, and capacitors aren't that expensive. We kind of got rid of that boogered up wire on there. It's working fine now. We'll put this screw back in there that was in there. Didn't really need it, but we'll put it back in there either way. So that's it. Pretty cheap for a repair for a 21-year-old unit. I started making this model back in the late 80s, or early 90s, under the, I think late 80s, under the E12 with a little 2. Look just like this, but a different sticker on the front. They're basically the same as this, same parts, interchangeable. And then in the early 90s, the mid 90s, maybe late 90s, they had the B150, which looked just like this. It's a different model number. And then late 90s, early 2000s, or mid 90s, early 2000s, went to the B160. Now they don't make it anymore. They don't make this version anymore. They make a newer B160. It looks nothing like this. It's a newer model. You know, none of the parts are interchangeable, but that's eventually what took its place. The B180 is what took this unit's place eventually. Now the B180 has been discontinued as a product, and now the new B160 is out now. So. But anyways, hope you like this kind of stuff. Got a fence chart that needs to be worked on, welcome to send it to us for us to work on for you and get it going. Or if you want to order some parts, we'll be happy to sell you some parts. Help you get your unit up and running yourself. Can't sell parts for all the brands, but you can sell parts for a majority of them. If we got in stock, we'll help you out. But anyways, until we do another video of how to work on one or how to test one, we'll see you guys later. Remember to subscribe, tell your friends about us, and hit that like button if you'd like to, and we'll see you later on.